Oh, you're fine.
Is this
This is the clerk. And me.
No, you're the most important. Wait, you're the first to make sure people get paid. My treasurer tells me to jump. I say how high.
I'm glad.
Yes.
That's
I
next door.
respect it.
Betsy, you want her communication?
No,
person?
that's the only night.
Chris Curtis is public works director. Nick Patrick's building.
We loving it, sis.
Nothing. Just making sure all the clocks say 10.
All right,
I was gonna say, I think we're.
All right, Tiffany, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Garvey,
Present.
Councilman Brennan,
Present.
Councilwoman Worklow, Councilman Harjo,
Present.
Mayor Sykes.
Present. Let the record reflect that we do have a quorum. So really quick, usually my meetings I have with businesses or individuals or people that request a meeting with me, I don't record. So as a favor to Councilman Brennan, he's asked for this to be recorded. So and I've also had a couple citizens reach out to me personally to see if we could record this since they couldn't make the meeting. Two, we're going to record it. But two, the meeting time is what Alonzo set with me, and that was the time. And then three, I've asked the council if they would sit in with me on this meeting. I think that the council should hear what Alonzo and the tribe have to say, and I think it's only behooves the council to have the same information that I get. So here, moving forward, I'm going to Alonzo. This is your show.
My show. We don't want to call it a show, but thanks. First of all, congratulate you on your re-election and the new city council members. The Shoshone-Bannock tribe has been working on this project for numerous years. We've been here in Mountain Home and in Elmore County quite a few times. We had a few open houses. Early on in the project, first I want to apologize. I have a few staff members here with me and part of our team with me. Mr. Marvin Osborne, he's the executive director for the Gaming Commission. We also have the chief of police, Mr. Teton. Chief Teton, he's the chief of police. Standing right back here. Then Tony Rodriguez, she works for Marvin. And what's Shane? Shane Anderson. Oh, Shane Anderson. And we have some more team members that are coming over. And some of our council members are supposed to be in attendance, but I don't see them. It's just the drive over here will probably take them a little bit longer. But I want to get back to the presentation. First of all, we've been in your community for quite some time now. Early on when the project started, I actually took the time as a planner. My background is I'm an architect, and I do a lot of planning for the Shoshone-Bannock tribes. But early on, when you do planning, you go into the community. I actually came here numerous times, visited with some of your people that live here in Mountain Home and Elmore County, because I knew that I read in the stories that the movie theaters closed down, the bowling alley closed down. There's a lot for the youth or your citizens to do here in Mountain Home. So I talked to them early on. I usually talk to a lot of the youth because I think that's who we should talk to, because in any good community, they are future leaders. So a lot of the kids said that we really don't have nothing to do here in Mountain Home. You have to drive all the way over to Boise if you want to go see a movie or go have any type of entertainment. So I thought that was quite interesting. Then they said the bowling alley closed down and there's movie theaters. So I took that back to our tribe and had a discussion with our leadership. So the tribes purchased the acreage. We all know where it's at, and we started doing the whole planning process. Oh, is that for me? Oh, thank you. You probably seen on my face, right?
And Alonzo, you're fine.
And anyway, so we purchased the property, and we feel that it's a really good fit for the city and Elmore County. a wonderful project, not only for the Shoshone-Bannock tribes, but for Mountain Home. I really wish that our rest of our team was here. I'm not, and my background's not gaming, I'll tell you that one thing. In my past job, when I worked at FFK Architects in Utah, we worked on numerous Indian casinos across the Indian country. But Echo's the kind of the public relations for the tribes, and she's worked in the gaming industry for a long time. How many of you have been visited Fort Hall before?
Hey, will you direct the questions to the council?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so used to holding discussions there. Because I think when we have a discussion, we talk to everyone. How many of you all been to Fort Hall? Visit our property? In my mind, it's one of the best hotels in southeastern Idaho. Our property is well maintained, well managed, and we have currently at that place, of course, gaming machines in the hotel, a convention center. We have a lot of concerts that come to our area. So it's a really good establishment. I really wish Echo was here. Anyway, early on, I want to get back to the City of Mountain Home project. We met with the mayor prior. We met with some city council members a long, long time ago. And we want to be really transparent with yourself and your community. We did, the environmental assessments are currently going on. That's why we have our representative from Horrocks, from Boise, the office, to be here to talk about it later in the presentation. And you guys are aware of Montrose Environmental, they're another Boise firm. They're currently doing the environmental assessment for us. We did the business plans, we did the feasibility studies for the project. We hired a group called Innovations to do the feasibility study because they're well known across not only Indian country but for other business ventures. And the numbers came back really, really good. Because we have to utilize those, because if the tribes are going to invest $300 to $500 million into a project of this size, we want to make sure the return on investment is good, like you all know. So we did that. What we want to do for this property, I know early on we talked about the racetrack, the hotel, the convention space, of course gaming, but also we want to do the movie theaters and the bowling alley for this property. More recently, our leadership, after looking at the feasibility study that was done, decided maybe the track's not the best fit right now because the numbers aren't really, really good as far as horse racing goes. So we want to keep the other amenities on site. That's what we're doing now. So, is there any questions yet? None? How many of you were part of the past presentations? I know that the mayor, oh, okay. So, as you all know, we did a open house here at the Elks Lodge. It was well attended. A lot of I would say, in my mind, out of the people that were like 90% was for the project. But statistically, I don't know what the numbers were, but it was well attended, and the majority of the people that were there were your local business owners. And you know, when we start this project, we really want to make sure that we have the community involved. If you're contractors or whatever you may provide for the hotel and casino, we want to make sure that they're included in that. When we met with the Elmore County, because we have to meet with Elmore County too, we said the same thing. You know, the tribes, throughout the whole project, we want to be as transparent as we can, or we will be, on everything. When we did the open house in Boise area, surprisingly, you know, not surprisingly, but there's a lot of people there that really want to support this project also. You know, because Boise Mountain Home, it's growing. You know, you drive down the interstate, you see all the development coming towards the Mountain Home area. More recently, how many of you are aware of the Idaho American General Contractors Association?
I think.
They're the big dogs, you call them, whatever, in the construction thing. the executive director, Wayne Hammond, they really support this project because they represent a majority of the contractors in the state of Idaho.
That was quick,
We were
Echo.
just a little bit late,
Right.
but I just went over our background a little bit. But what we want to do now, since Echo and Jeanette walked in, I just want to go over our current gaming operation. I'll have Echo go over that. I went over it briefly and how it operates and what the amenities they have there. So, Echo. Take them.
Getting my talking points out.
Oh. Introduce yourself.
And so Echo, you're addressing the council.
Yeah.
Good morning, council and Mayor Sykes. It's good to see you this morning. I apologize, we were just a few minutes late. So I'm going to, again, my name is Echo Marshall, and I'm the Public Affairs Manager for the Shoshone-Bannock Tribes. And I've met a few of you in the past at prior meetings, and thank you for having us here again. My background, I've worked for approximately 24 years in the gaming industry, priorly as the Executive Marketing Director for the Shoshone-Bannock Gaming Operation. So I'm going to give just a brief overview of the current operation. The Shoshone-Bannock Tribes owns and operates 3 gaming establishments in southeast Idaho, 2 smaller satellite properties, the Bannock Peak Truck Stop Casino located on I-84 in Arbin Valley, near Pocatello, which is our smallest of the 3, and attached to our Bannock Peak Truck Stop, C-Store, and gas station. It has approximately 60 electronic gaming machines. The second of the 3 is the Sage Hill Casino, which is located near Blackfoot on Interstate 15 and connected to our Sage Hill Travel Plaza. Just slightly larger than Bannock Peak and newer, has approximately 100 machines. The largest of the 3, and what we consider our primary destination, is in Fort Hall and is the Shoshone-Bannock Casino Hotel, located 10 miles north of Pocatello and 10 miles south of Blackfoot. The Shoshone-Bannock Casino Hotel, which is formerly known as the Fort Hall Casino, has approximately 900 gaming machines, or what we refer to as EGMs, electronic gaming machines, high stakes bingo, a players club, a restaurant called the Camas Sports Grill, the Painted Horse Buffet, a deli, bingo concessions, a lounge, a spa, 15,000 square foot event center that is utilized for large conferences, meeting space, and entertainment, and 156 hotel rooms featuring 11 suites. Alcohol is served in our lounge, Camas Sports Grill, in the Chiefs Event Center, and outdoors during special events and concerts. However, in accordance with tribal laws, our reservation is a dry reservation, which means alcohol is not permitted to leave the property or be brought onto the property. It must be purchased and consumed on site. Many of our employees are required to go through what is called TIPS training, TIPS certification training, and that provides them with the training and certification required to serve alcohol responsibly to our guests. In total, we employ approximately 450 people, including both Shoshone-Bannock tribal members and non-tribal members. This includes a small number of part-time and temporary employees. Employees from various departments rotate shifts at our 2 satellite properties that I referenced earlier. But the majority of our employees work at our main property in Fort Hall. The casino hotel operation consists of 3 overall divisions: gaming, hotel, and food and beverage, currently with a manager over each. There are over 30 departments and sub-departments across these 3 divisions, which include the following. I'm going to read a list, but I think it's important in the context of our conversations moving forward that we understand what it takes to operate a facility of this size. We have our casino management department, which includes our casino shift managers. We have a manager that's in that executive department that is on site at all times. Accounting, ambassadors. We have an ambassador program that consists of our tribal elders, and they greet our guests and are visible when you're walking into the property, and they can share the history of our tribes to our guests as well. Audio visual, who is responsible for all of our concerts and all of the audio, the AV needs in the event center for conferences and meetings. Bingo, cage or cashier departments, compliance, drop staff count, they count all the money every day and pull the money from the machines. Environmental services, which formerly known as facilities or housekeeping. Human resources, information technology, maintenance on both the casino and hotel side. Marketing, players club, player development, purchasing, property, revenue audit, risk management, security, hotel management, hotel public safety, hotel front desk, hotel housekeeping, hotel sales, food and beverage, Camas Sports Grill, Painted Horse Buffet, Stampede Lounge, Decagani Deli, Bingo Deli, Cedar Spa, Donzia Gift Shop, and then we also have a gaming commission and our surveillance department that sits under our gaming commission. That is our regulatory body. Currently, all of our hiring is performed in-house by our human resources department, and a good majority of our training is also handled internally by our training department and at the departmental level. The operation is supported by a long list of outside contracted vendors, which produces indirect jobs, which include gaming machine suppliers, ATM vendors, cleaning and restoration services, food service providers, linen service providers, printing and copying contracted services, staging, lighting, and audiovisual companies for concerts and other entertainment that support our in-house internal department, carpets and rugs, interior furnishings, signage, construction services, window cleaning, and the list goes on and on and on. We obviously could not operate a property of its size and service requirements without the partnerships with these local and national companies. Gaming management reports directly to our Fort Hall Business Council, which consists of 7 individuals elected by our tribal membership. While operations act independently of our business council on a daily basis, they bring larger issues and strategic planning decisions of the business to the council during regularly scheduled monthly meetings. Contract approvals are handled by our in-house tribal attorney's office. The operation is highly regulated by the Shoshone-Bannock Tribal Gaming Commission, which is an on-site regulatory body. Marvin Osborne, who is also here today, is our executive director of the Gaming Commission, and he will talk next about the duties and responsibilities of this group. This year we will be celebrating our 34th year in operation, and at any time we invite you to come and visit our property, come to one of our concerts. You know, if you're really interested about how our business operates, it's good to come and actually see it in person. And as a past marketing person, I encourage you to follow us on social media, on our all of our social media platforms, to see all the fun and exciting things we offer, and to visit our website to not only learn more about the gaming operation, but to also learn more about the history of the Shoshone-Bannock tribes. So I'm available at any time for follow-up questions that are specific to gaming operations. But at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Marvin.
Morning, Mayor and council members. My name is Marvin Osborne. I'm the executive director for the Shoshone-Bannock Gaming Commission. I've been there for about 15, 16 years as the executive director of the Gaming Commission. I've seen a lot of things happen, been involved in the operation of tribal council for some time. I was a former council member, chairman of the tribe, executive director for the Fort Hall Housing Authority and the Yakima Nation in Washington, and another little tribe in north of Seattle as the executive director and planner up there. Educated in Idaho State University, Dallas, Texas, and Durango, Colorado. I've been around and seen a lot of things happen. But this particular position I'm in, the gaming industry, the Indian gaming was initiated in 1988 with the Cabazon tribe in California, opened the door for the gaming industry to happen in Indian country. But once that happened, according to the federal laws, tribal laws, and Indian gaming, you have to have a compact. And those compacts require a regulatory body, which is the gaming commissions. And our duty is to oversee and regulate gaming operations for facilities, for employment, for regulatory internal auditing work and provide the audits for the gaming operations to be conducted on site, and they'll be submitted to the Tribal Council and to the National Indian Gaming Commission. They oversee us, and we're just regulated to the max. But our Gaming Commission department, we also have staff separate from gaming operation. We're a regulatory body. We have our own surveillance outfit. We have a number of cameras, hundreds and hundreds of cameras in the facility. We watch everything on the floor. We want to make sure we maintain those cameras. Those cameras have to be very accurate in picking up any criminal type activities, and believe me, there's a lot of activities that happen. The timing of the video recordings have to be done in a way where it goes to court. If we have issues that happen, we work closely with security at the casino, and we work very closely with the law enforcement because they're our enforcement agency in terms of making any arrests or doing anything that happens over there that people get out of hand. We call upon them. Our security works very closely with us. We provide regulatory policies, procedures. We have what they call house rules. Those house rules are being enforced by security and being enforced by law enforcement and being enforced by courts. So we have a number of procedures we have to follow. We give everybody an opportunity to be heard if they're excluded from our casino based on the house rules or any violations. We have checks and balances for all the departments that have requirements under the National Indian Gaming Commission's regulatory requirements. They're called the mixed standards, minimum internal controls. We have internal auditors that watch all the employees, making sure they fulfill all the regulatory requirements, and report those to the Tribal Council and to the National Indian Gaming Commission. We have house rules, of course, that govern the activities of the patrons. We ensure compliances are applicable and for the safety and protection of the employees, the patrons, and the facilities itself. We ensure annual audits are conducted and reported to the Indian Gaming Commission. We work, again, like I said, closely with the Gaming Security Office. They help us out a lot, and the law enforcement who helps to enforce those issues that come about. Another part of our big our operation is we facilitate we conduct the licensing of each facility that are on the reservation, and what we have is a checklist, and the checklist tells us what we need to provide, and this again goes to the National Indian Gaming Commission. It's a 25 CFR 443. It's a requirement that we have to meet, and it's a safety issue. It's a water and sewer issue. We have standards for public safety, sanitation, construction. This checklist has to be certified about 120 days prior to construction. We have to have this facility licensing into the system before we start breaking ground. And we're required to have all these items submitted to the NIGC before we start anything. And so it's very important, all these environmental issues that are happening, the water, the sewer, we have to have all those subjects listed, and we have to have adequate water supply, adequate facilities that we need to use. Of course, we know that we'll probably have to tap into the system here, but then we're going to ask for data to make sure that we have enough water in case there's a fire or so to put this stuff out. adequate sewage for the accommodations that have to happen here. Of course, law enforcement's an issue, but we're working on that, I believe. So, the Gaming Commission has a lot of regulatory duties and responsibilities. Our latest thing is with the FBI. Every applicant that we have to employ has got to go through an FBI background check. So we don't just let anybody in the door. Everybody has to have a licensed background check. So we have a lot of duties, a lot of responsibilities that we have to do. We just look forward to seeing this project come through and to see all this stuff be in place and taken into account and consideration. And we're there to regulate and make sure everything is running properly. And that's what we want to do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, or Mayor. Any questions or?
So really quick before you leave, council, since this would normally just be a meeting, I'm gonna suspend the Robert's Rules of Order, so then we can just have this like a normal meeting. We're just gonna talk back and forth. The reason we had to do it, council, we have more than 3, right? So quorum, so that's why it's a city council meeting, but normally just meetings are just us be bantering back and forth, talking, having our questions answered by you guys. So council, feel free to ask away if you have questions, and hopefully they can answer them for you. So I've suspended the Robert's Rules.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, as you see on the agenda today, we brought the team together that's been working on this project, and it's important that we brought Marvin and our chief of police here, because we want to make sure that you all understand how the Fort Hall Police Department works with the casino project, with the casino. So would hope we can answer, well, we will answer your question. We hope you guys ask questions of us on these things. And, because we're working through the environmental process, and when Marvin talked about the EA and the checklist that they have to go with to comply with even before we open the door. And that's why we have a representative from Horrocks with us today. Because I know early on, when we talked to the past utilities director, they said there was enough water, but now there was a question that there may not be. So that's why we have to have these discussions with you all, because we have to go through this whole checklist before the project even can happen to get the place licensed. And that's why we want to have this discussion with you all. Before I move on, I just want to introduce our council members, our chairman of our tribe, Mr. Lewan Tyler. He's in attendance today. And Mr. Ladd Edmo, he's a treasurer for the Fort Hall Business Council. They're elected officials just like you all. That's what we felt that it's important enough to, is that the only tribal, you're the only two that came? It's important enough to have our leadership here with his attendance today to address this with you all. But before I want to skip down, since Marvin talked about the law enforcement stuff on the agenda, if I can just have Chief Cheaton come and start talking about the law enforcement stuff, how they work with the.
Really quick, hey, I want the chief, the president, and the treasurer. Thank you for making the time to come and talk to the council and myself. I know it's a long ways, and it doesn't go unnoticed that you taking your time. And obviously, we always say that once the time is spent, you can't get it back. So thank you for taking your time to help answer some questions that the council probably has for you. So with that, I'll shut up. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I'd like to address the people here real quickly. So, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Everybody doorway in, doorway around, and everybody in the middle, and all you honorable people. I shake all your hands that way. And my name's Lewan Tyler, Tindoy. I'm going to be changing my name pretty soon. And due to the fact from my father's name. So I was raised by my grandfather, and I grew up in a home. They didn't speak English. My grandparents, they didn't speak English. So I lived in a time where we had kerosene lamps and no electricity until Robert Kennedy Sr. came and visited our people. How we were in poverty, such poverty that they seen that and says, hey, we need help. Because our people were living in tough lives in shacks, and a lot of them, not all of them, but a few of them. But we still had gardens, don't get me wrong. We still survived. But they tell us, and I've been on the council since 2005, Shoshone-Bannock Tribes Business Council. And I made it this way, my first term as a chairman. So So it's an honor to be here. And me and my brother here, Lad, we grew up on the reservation. We're similar age, but now we've seen those things. And I know a lot about our history. I graduated at Idaho State University. Took a while, but I made it. But also, I just came back from Groton, Connecticut. We helped Christian. We blessed the USS 799 Idaho submarine, nuclear attack submarine. I was honored to be there. We did a blessing. You can probably find it on Google. And there was the next person, us. Oh, I was only me though, my Shoshone-Bannock. But the other 5 tribes were supposed to. Were invited. They didn't get to go. But anyways, long story short, it's there's a lot we do here. And I brought this book. I was sharing with my brother. This one. There's others out there as well. Northern Shoshone. In here, I marked it where it goes to page 54. It talks about a lot of our history and around here. And around before there was the state of Idaho, before there was counties, before there was Mount Home, that our people lived here in our Earth Mother area, the abundance of this life, the BO way, Snake River. And so our people, when the Euro-Americans came, there was we had unratified treaties here. The Boise Valley Treaty, we had the Bruno Treaty, the Long Tom Treaty just up here, and other treaties, but they weren't ratified. But the Fort Bridger one was. 1868, it talks about the Boise and Bruno bands that were having a tough time because there was a lot of conflict here because of the Oregon Trail this way, California Trail that way, and I think we know a little bit of the history. But actually, what I wanted to point out is the individuals here, the Governor Ballard and Powell and all these others, they found Bruno bands and Boise bands, and they said we got to put them somewhere. So the Fort Bridger Treaty was established as Fort Hall Reservation. So in here it tells they sent the Bruno bands over there and the Boise bands over there to Fort Hall. And Captain Jim was the leader of the Boise band, and Gibson Jack was the leader of the Bruno band. If you go to Pocatello, our reservation got dwindled down, 1.8 million acres, but there's a place called Gibson Jack Creek that was named after the Bruno chief, Gibson Jack. So our people were here, so I don't want to, start any controversy with others that say that this is their area. This is all our area, so this is our area too. But they tell us, how are you rich? I was telling my brother this. You're rich if you have a lot of friends. That's how Indian way you're rich. If you don't have very many friends, you might not be too rich. I have a lot of friends because I've been on the council and maybe relatives, I don't know. But I have friends, I assume I do, so I hope you're my friends too. We'll all become friends, and then I can be richer in that way. But maybe sometimes on Facebook I don't have very many likes, so I might not have too many friends. But I just want to share a little bit there, so let you guys continue on with all this. But if you have any more questions, it's an honor to be here, and let's get something moving for our future. There's reasons we're here, through prayer and through ways and through all your upbringing, each and every one of you. We want to see something productive for this portion of this area of Idaho, and we want to see progressive, and we want to see something good, and for our future, and find ways to help better our lifestyles and life ways, where we will all be happy at the same time, help each other in a good way. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman Tyler. Lance?
Keaton, let him introduce himself.
Good morning, Council. My name is Patrick Keaton. I'm the Chief of Police. I've worked for the Fort Hall Police Department since 1998. We work hand in hand with the Gaming Commission and the gaming that we have currently in Fort Hall. My department, most of my certified staff, or all of my certified staff, get their training in Artesia, New Mexico, and in Glencoe, Georgia. It's Brunswick, Georgia is the town. But we're all federally trained, and then we're all certified, so all of our officers are federal officers. Anytime something happens at the gaming, our operations currently, we work constantly with it's in Bingham County, our current casino, so we work a lot with Bingham County. we have criminal jurisdiction over all Native Americans on site. We have civil jurisdictions over Native Americans and non-Indians. But if it's a non-Indian, it's a misdemeanor, we work with the county, so the county will come deal with it. I've talked with your guys' or Elmore County Sheriff Hollenshed, and then I reached out to your guys' Chief Thompson just a couple of weeks ago. Introduced myself, let him know that we were working on this project, and if he had any questions, he can get a hold of me. But currently, like the way we operate now is if something happens and it's a crime, the casino will get in contact with our agency, we'll respond. Depending on who the suspect is, then we'll handle it. Either we'll have the county respond to deal with it, or if it's a Native American, then we'll deal with it ourselves. We work a lot with, like I said, county, cities, state. Federally, we work with everybody, U.S. Attorney's Office, FBI, DEA, ATF, Marshals when we're dealing with counterfeit stuff, the U.S. Marshals when they're looking for folks as far as warrants go. But with this whole project, it's going to be, I mean, it's going to take some work. I imagine we'll need MOUs with the county, probably maybe with the city as well. So I'm pretty open if you have any questions as far as law enforcement goes.
Chief, will there be any, will your police department come over here for this project, or just expand your force really, or is there like the BIA law enforcement federal team that comes, or?
No, what would happen is if we decided to police it ourselves, then we would detail officers to the casino and they would just stay for a period of time, and then I would rotate them out. If we got an MOU with Elmore County, then they would possibly do the law enforcement there. Because the majority of the patrons over here are probably going to be non-Indians, so we don't have criminal jurisdiction over non-Indians, just the county does. And we're kind of in the talks with the county, so I don't know if that would entail like a cross-deputization with my staff, or if they would just handle the law enforcement and then we would compensate them some way. So we're kind of early on in those discussions.
Thank you.
Does ISP have jurisdiction on a tribal ground?
No. The only jurisdiction they have, according to PL 280, is just like county maintained roads, like traffic enforcement stuff. Currently, when we are dealing with non-Indians on our current casinos, we'll call Bingham County Sheriff's Office, and they'll come and we work well with them, so they'll come and handle whatever the situation is.
So what's your thought process, since you're so close to the city? So would you utilize an MOU with the city instead of the county, or would you just do county and not with the city?
No, I think it would probably be most effective for all of us to have some kind of agreement in place. Because I'm sure that city business is going to go to the casino. I mean, because people go all over. So I'd imagine, because like now at our casinos, we'll have cities looking for someone, maybe someone committed a crime in the city and they kind of fled. So we're working hand in hand constantly with them. So I don't see that it would be an issue if there was some kind of MOU between the city and the county. I don't see any issues with that anyway.
Realistically,
I don't see how like you really have both law enforcement agencies, the city and the county, MOUing to do the same thing. If they call for non-Native American, then they're going to have to either say the city needs to respond or the county needs to respond. If it's both, there'll be a jurisdictional battle there of, it's not us today, we're busy, something to that effect.
recognizing that fact though, and recognizing that tribal property borders both county and city, I think there's cause for at least the discussion to be had, recognizing that PD and county sheriff are going to share some of those duties under that configuration. When you look at the geographics of the tribal entity and that property, they border both city and county. So it's important to remember that, I think.
Mr. Mayor and City Council, that's why we want to have a frank discussion with you all. Our legal counsel, if you have any questions of her, because she's been working on those things, we'd love to sit down and at a table and discuss these issues about jurisdiction when dealing with non-Indians, because once the land is turned into trust, it becomes Indian property, and that's when we have, like Chief Keaton said, we'd have to sign those MOUs with the city and or Elmore County to, but we really need to get these things down amongst the parties.
So where are you at with your what is it, the going back to Washington D.C., getting your land put into tribal trust?
And Mr. Mayor,
Sovereignty, yes, sorry, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, city council members, that's part of the process, is that we really need to complete the environmental assessment. And part of the environmental assessment is this water thing that we're all going to have a discussion with. And that's why we have a representative from Horrocks, because they're actually working on that part for the environmental assessment for Montrose. And I know that he's had frank discussions with the city utilities director, public works division director. Jeanette, do you want to add anything on to the MOUs or anything like that we're working on, potentially working on as far as law enforcement? Do you have anything to add? Okay.
So you've been in talks with the county in regards to rural fire, jail, ambulance services, law enforcement, rescue. I guess my question is, it sounds like you're asking the city for water? Is that where we're at? What are you asking the city for?
We've been meeting with Elmore County, of course. We have to meet with them, and we early on we met with Mr. Ukiti about the water stuff, and we even had West Water from Boise do the water study for here in Mountain Home. So these are the things that we all have to sit down and work on, and how we can, if we have to have MOUs with the city and or Elmore County to offer these services to the tribes for the future development. Those are the things that we have to all come together and work on together as a team.
But what things? Is it just water or what else?
Like we had a discussion, Mr. Mayor and City Council, we had a discussion just about the law enforcement. We may have to enter MOUs with both parties, Elmore County and the city. And if it's city water that we have to utilize, then that's what we'll be entering with you.
Are you going to ask for ingress egress type access from the city to your casino, or what's your plan for that?
Do you want to go over the traffic briefly? You want us to jump to?
I have one quick question.
Oh.
Actually, it's probably more of a comment than a question. I immediately am getting concerned at the resources, especially with the county. As far as the county sheriff, our county is large, and those guys go miles out. And if I worry about the resources, and even at the courthouse, if there's a lot more added cases, I worry about them getting overwhelmed. It's just all the way around. When you've been talking with Hollingshed, has there been any discussion of increasing their department? I mean, I just don't see how we can take it all on.
That's why I'm asking,
Yeah.
what are they asking from the city?
Yeah.
Because I talked to county commissioners, I understand what the language has been between the county and you guys, but so I was just wondering, what exactly are you asking from the city, I guess?
Yeah, that's a great question, yeah.
Well, today, as far as we move forward on the environmental assessment, there's that water issue that we really have to talk about, and that, of course, tying into the city. And that's where we can have Matthew come up and have that discussion. Thanks.
Yeah, great. I've got a couple handouts that might be helpful if you pass those up.
Mayor, really quick before he starts, can I just an off the wall question is, Horrocks represents City of Mountain Home, right?
They did for the downtown.
That's it. We're not intermingled anymore.
Nope.
Okay. Thank you.
Unless Chris, we don't have anything with Horrocks anymore. That's all JUB. Keller. Okay.
Thanks, everybody. Okay. Good morning, everybody. My name is Matthew Graham. I'm with Horrocks. I'm a civil engineer there, and we were hired to investigate the civil aspects of this project as part of the environmental assessment, and that includes looking at sewer, water, stormwater, traffic, site grading, everything under that. And so what we first were provided were three different alternatives. And as you can see on the first page, we have this alternative number one, which has the casino, the hotel, conference room, bowling alley, movie theater, arcade, food, beverage, and other support facilities as indicated by Alonzo. And so this was the first full build-out alternative that we looked at, and then followed by the second alternative, which was a reduced gaming for that facility. And as you can see in the legend off to the side, there's some of those items were removed based on kind of what was available. But Alonzo, my understanding is that alternative one is the preferred outcome. Yeah, and then based on what would be available at the site, then there's alternative number three, which would have no gaming, which would just include a hotel, conference center, and food and beverage facilities. So these alternatives were now analyzed to determine, what were our water and our sewer requirements that would be needed out there. So I went, so number four on the top right, this exhibit shows the existing wastewater collection capacity. And I met with Chris Curtis and his staff, and I was kind of told that there was going to be needed upgrades to the wastewater for the collection and also the treatment, because right now that the facility doesn't have enough capacity at the wastewater treatment facility. So looking at this, for our initial thought was we would connect into the sewer there at American Legion, but looking at this map, you can see right there the red lines where it says that the sewer is surcharged. So meaning that there's not enough capacity, and they're going to have to upgrade those lines. And so so that's part of what we're going to look at is like, okay, what do we need to do to make it work based on the flows that the facility is going to produce, right? So looking at the next one, number 5 on the top right, it was there. This is the master planning that was put together by Keller, and it looks like they're wanting to serve the facility with some lines that go down to the wastewater treatment facility. It appears, based on what I've looked at, that there needs to be right-of-way acquired for this work to go through. And it seems to be, I think this was done in 2022. There would be, I don't believe that all these improvements were anticipated, and it's quite substantial, to get all these lines to get down to the wastewater treatment facility. And then looking at the next figure, number 6, this shows planned improvements for the water as well. I know, and when I met with Chris and his team, they indicated to me that there was issues with, there wasn't enough source water, the distribution piping needs to be upgraded in multiple locations, there's not adequate storage that's needed, and also there's some fire capacity issues right here where we connect to the site. And when meeting with Chris Curtis, his staff was great and answered all my questions, but really at the end of the day, it was, there's no water, there's no sewer that's available. So I asked Chris if it was okay to reach out to their engineer and see what we could do to make these upgrades to try to make this system work, so we could analyze what would be necessary. So I did reach out to Keller. I had a meeting with them and talked with them about maybe we could hire them because they have the water and the sewer model for the entire city. I don't have access to that, so I asked them if they would be willing to run the numbers that we have for what would be required for water and sewer, and let us know where are the deficiencies, what can we do to make everything work. But they didn't. To avoid a conflict of interest, they said that they didn't want to participate, and so maybe it's just some coordination with, how everything works, but just want to see what we can do to make everything work for the project.
So Matthew, you can get that information. We'll just do a public record, if you want to do a public record. So all that statistical data is the property of the city of Mountain Home that Keller has. So if you need it,
Okay.
Just fill out that public records request, and then Chris can probably get what you need.
Okay.
But like I said, we want to, no conflict of interest. We don't want any of that.
Yeah,
do
for
everything-
sure. Yeah.
Do everything by the book.
I'm reading this letter that you attached to the last page. It says, "Thank you for confirming that the city of Mountain Home has existing water rights and available and sufficient capacity to meet the tribe's hotel and casino demands." So you guys were under the impression that we had enough water. Is that what this is stating? Prior to speaking with the Public Works Director, the previous Public Works Director? Is that?
That's my understanding. I wasn't part of the conversation. Alonzo
That
should be able to
myself
speak
and
to
our
that.
legal counsel.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
I'm sorry. That was myself and our legal counsel did reach out to him, and that's what was our understanding, yes.
Councilwoman Worklow?
Yes.
Can I jump in on
Yes,
that?
yes.
I'm going to say, and I mean absolutely no offense to any city staff by any means, but I saw that letter that you got, and that was not authorized by the city council. We did not sign off on that, and I'm not sure how that got produced and published, but I'm not speaking for the council, I'm speaking for me, is that we don't currently have the infrastructure, because every development that we do now, we're putting a caveat on it that says you're approved contingent upon us being able to provide the water to you. And now we've given so many of those development approvals, we've approved more than we have the water rights to support. And so they're basically, we're putting them in an order of whoever builds first gets the water right, or the EDU equivalently. Yes, thank you. And so I hope that's not a big shock. It probably is, but this council or the previous council did not sign that letter, and I'm disappointed that it went out.
So there was the EDUs at the time. We still have the EDUs, like I said, as Councilman said. You have, it's first come, first serve. But it's our wastewater infrastructure, as Chris told you. We don't have any more capacity currently. Hence, we're going out for an $8 million grant from the Department of Defense to pay for it. The next alternative route is DEQ loan, and that just puts us further in debt.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor and City Council, that was one of the things that we looked at early on to even start this whole project, and we always asked that question. It's something that we need for this project to move forward. We're going through the whole environmental assessment. It's part of the environmental assessment for the approval, because they'll review our application and they'll say, well, you guys don't have enough water even to do this project. So that's why we're here today, is we really need to have a discussion with you all and how we can make it work. Because as a planner, architect background, when we do development, we look at projects that will come into a community that will benefit the community in the best way. Job creation, wages, that's why we determine projects. And I hope that you would really consider and look at this project of how many jobs it's going to create. Over 3,000 during construction, 1,100 jobs when it's all completed. The entertainment that you all have here to the city of Mountain Home. We all know that the Boise area, the Boise Valley, is coming towards Mountain Home, and we just want to make sure that we have all these things in place before we move forward on that, because the tribes have invested, on the property, doing the environmental assessments, bringing on an architect, a well-known architect that done these type of properties before. So the initial investment is huge for the tribes, but more importantly, down the road, if we're going to invest $300 to $500 million on a project, we want to become really good business partners and part of the community with you all and create a good project here. So I really, in my mind, recommend is that we really have this discussion and sit down with yourself and your staff and how we can work together to make this project a reality. You know, and that's why we're here today. You know, it's, yeah, our current facility down in Fort Hall, it's wonderful, does really good things for our community. But the future revenue that we can generate here is going to go back home and help our people. You know, our infrastructure is out of control. Those are major upgrades, and some of the plans that you guys will see from this project here can help your community. You know, early on in the project, I said I visited your community and talked to some of your people that live here, even the youth. You know, driving 45 minutes in the evening time in the dark just to go see a movie or go to bowling alley or for any type of entertainment, I'd rather have that in your backyard. And the job creation, I was like I told you all earlier, I think it was your group, I went to Dutch Brothers and the young lady said, they cannot wait for this project to happen. So I just think we really need to have this discussion with you all and how we all can work together to make this happen if you want this project in your community. You know, we had the open houses and it was well attended and a lot of the people here want it. You know, so I think that's what the discussions we have to have and get those questions that you have and what we have of you.
When will you get that feasibility study that shows the statistical data, or be able to quantify to the council that, hey, this is something that can benefit everyone? Like, do you have a timeline on that portion of it? It'll tell us the feasibility of crime, the feasibility of gambling addiction, and then obviously the quantifiable data for the revenue that'll be brought in. When do we have all that statistical data?
Mr. Mayor and City Council, we have the feasibility studies done and the business plans done already. It just would be up to our leadership to go over that with you. But I'm more than, we're just transparent as the council, and we get that, we can go over that with you all in the future.
I think even prior to that portion of the discussion, just the practicality and the hurdles that exist to deliver the services that the tribe may ask of the city to enter into an agreement on. Setting aside the law enforcement aspect and those kind of things that we've already discussed, the practical aspects that the several alternate plans set forth, we have as a city fee schedules that are defined and tables that define the number of like water and wastewater EDUs assigned to a house, a restaurant, and those kind of things. Obviously, with those, they're designed specifically around residents within the city. That also, the fee schedule being an enterprise fund, and then those same people who are receiving those services by fee are also paying property tax. And I think there's going to be some room for discussion down the road about what the fee per an MOU could be. I think the hard numbers on these alternate, the full build outs, the partial build outs, getting an understanding from the tribe on the actual needs for the property at each level of this, understanding how many EDUs of water that we agree that this property would need in this configuration, in a reduced configuration or the minimal configuration, per our hotel requirements for EDUs currently, restaurant requirements, office requirements, and then patron count for convention, if that's a portion of this. That will all determine the actuals in terms of what the needs are, and that's I think part of like the thing that the city is going to need to see is the actuals on this is great in terms of like a hotel having 250 guest rooms. That's a very quantifiable data. But when it comes to the number of restrooms required for total patron count in the movie theater, the bowling center, food and beverage needs for restaurant and that kind of thing, and then tying that again in parallel with wastewater, that helps the city determine this is what the potential usage at max and minimum configurations would be. And then the city can take a look at what needs to be done to even shoulder that in terms of our infrastructure. And I think there's room for the discussion of, and you know, this is maybe not a today aspect of the topic, but the appetite of the tribe to participate in funding for these upgrades that would help that property exist in its planned sense. And when we look at these, Mr. Graham might be able to help in this sense. There's essentially a logical route in which water and wastewater would be routed according to these maps. Wastewater probably being, I mean, they're both independently important topics, right? We have the largest sewer lagoon complex in the state of Idaho, and we're looking to build another cell because our city can't continue at its growth rate without having that other cell. So there's a topic of discussion in how do you deal with wastewater. The wastewater treatment plants are expensive, right? And so that's the logical answer to that. And then water availability in, you know, hydrogeology is the other aspect of this. If the city is asking our fee-based EDU holder for residential, commercial, restaurant to pay a certain amount, and then we ask that, oh, well, we're going to bring another well online that's going to service another 1,000 EDUs, equivalent dwelling unit. There's got to be some cost share in that. If there's the prospect of an operating agreement in that sense, there's logically, if our facilities cannot handle it in its current state, there's got to be discussion about some cost sharing in how that part gets enabled. I mean, I think that's probably before any other aspect of the topic is logically, can the city fulfill this? Even if we wanted to, could the city fulfill this, and what would it take? Is really the biggest part.
Yeah, so I initially did an analysis of what it would take for the amount of water, wastewater, and provided that when I came to meet with Chris and his team. And then I also provided that to Keller when I had a meeting with them. It wasn't in EDUs, it was in gallons per day. But yeah, and so what I was trying to do is, because I know that they have the you know, their models for everything that's going on, and I know it was indicated to me, Chris let me know that on the other side of the freeway there's quite a bit of construction going on. So really having the, you know, with all the new construction coming on and what's happening out there, you know, I was hoping that we could be a collaborative, you know, thing, like everybody's working together on it, and you know, we don't want to create any conflict of interest by any means, but you know, I just wanting to see, you know, like be a team approach, you know, rather than you know to get this project to work. So that was kind of what. But yeah, those numbers have been provided already, and knowing based on what I've seen as far as all the infrastructure upgrades, it seems like pretty substantial. So you know, and since this report went out and the data was from 2022, you know, what's changed since then, you know, what, you know, because things are dynamic with everything that's being built. So just wanting to get a better understanding of what needs to be done, so.
Matt,
Yes.
have you guys talked about your own water treatment for your facility? Or, I mean, I don't know if you've gotten that far with them, but is that an option?
That, I mean, it's always an option to do own water treatment. It'd be something that we'd have to look into to get something on site for treatment.
You might start looking,
yeah.
exploring other options possibly.
Mm-hmm.
Could I say something? Mr. Mayor Sykes and the honorable council members and everyone else here. I don't want to take too much time, and time's precious, but life's short, but we're all here. So water is life, we all know that, and water has a spirit. There's different types of water. So we do it in our ceremony, we pray for it. So if this is meant to happen, it'll happen. And so, but man can do anything they want. humans, we could go to the moon. We do satellites. We create nuclear energy, power energy. Then we create war to defend ourselves, basically. And we have innovation of technology. So if you look at this, if it's really meant to be, you can find a way to the pros and cons and to overtake the positive. And if you want to accomplish something, and it could be a handful. And I've been to an area in south of Phoenix where they have a water treatment plant. It cost them $15 million, and it goes in cycles. And then they have to do the organic, and then it starts out with the sewage. It's unfortunate down there they don't have water, where we have abundance of it here. And over there they have to go through different phases. So many of them. Then at the end, it goes through all these phases, and they bring a cup of water. A cup. Then they spigot. They open it up. Who wants to drink it? Nobody wanted to drink it. But the guy that was showing us, presenting it to us, drank it. So that's where they're at. We don't want to go that far. But there's other projects going on. I'm not sure about that Cat Creek, if that's going to be accomplished or not, but they're trying to do a man-made reservoir to save the storages off the snowpacks, to make sure they don't get lost and dissipated through the climate changes. And they were claiming that it could come down and produce water down here. It's only 20 miles. There's a Camas little creek up here. You guys know about that, right? 20 miles up the road. 25. They're not supposed to help bring water. I don't know how true that is, but if we work, find a way that can be accomplished. So if you think of it that way, think about the ideas of making this work versus the negativity. Humans always, if this was a life and death situation, for example, this was life and death situation, you're in charge, how are you going to bring water? That's going to be your goal, right? Let's think about it that way. Even though we're here supporting it, and think of it that way, instead of trying to block it right away. And that's what it feels like. We're going to block it right away. But if there's a life in the situation, how are you going to bring it in? That should be the goal. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Chairman Tyler, did you say that they did a water treatment? Was it a water treatment plant or was it a wastewater plant for $15 million?
Yeah, I don't know what it was called, but it was coming out of waste.
So like new water,
yeah,
or like
they
Singapore.
they turned it to where it's recycled.
Right.
They got operations plants and big corporations like Simplot. They recycle their water, and so they utilize it to do other operations, but for other things where he could use it for operation, production, whatever. But they could use another source where it's drinking safe.
Right.
So you got to have different types of water lines, mains. Back home we have EDB from agriculture and farming that didn't care, dumped right into the groundwater. There's plumes of contamination, pollution, where we had to get BIA and others to help us. Where I live, we had to get water mains, and it takes us like chemical Clorox or whatever. You have to let it run for a while before you drink it. Then our well water is polluted because it causes cancer. So we got to find a way to be thinking about outside the box. And unfortunately, in this day and age, because man destroyed so much with pollution, so we got to find a way to fix it. Turn it around. And then if we really wanted to do this, I think it could be accomplished. It's up to all of you and everybody here. If not, then we could just say, hey, we gave it a good shot.
I just want to add a quick thought to what you said. And I'm not speaking for anybody else up here, but when I talk about water, it's not a negativity thing.
Yeah.
It's preservation.
There you go.
And we're really worried about it around here. And so, from my perspective, I'm not coming at you fighting.
Okay.
It's preservation of this natural resource that we live in a desert.
I'm on your
And so,
side.
yeah,
Right
that's I just wanted to add that. It's just being mindful of our resources.
Thank you.
Mayor.
What? This is open.
I was going to address
Thank you.
your
We're so used to it.
15
I appreciate
million
it.
comment. There was some interesting stuff that came about at the Association of Idaho Cities Water Summit, where they were describing like essentially what you could equate to like truckable portable cells for water treatment that get into that like 15 million range, and they're like stackable in sense on a system. relatively low cost. They do have like a maximum threshold of throughput and that kind of thing, but that's typically how, in that price range, that's seemingly how that occurs.
For full disclosure to you guys, we just got our wastewater study done, and at the end of the day, it's about 109 million for a wastewater treatment plant. Right now, and don't quote me on this, we've got 4 cells that are lined. The other 4 or 5 are bentonite lined that we got an extension from DEQ, or was it EPA? One of the two. Don't, like I said, I'm just trying to give you kind of the thought process of in our minds that each. So back in the day when I first took office, it was about 1.5 million to line a sewer lagoon, right? And then it was 3 million. Then it was 6 million. Now it's $8 million to do the one that we're trying to get done, and it's a big one. So then the council here has to be fiscally responsible, or very thought process, which they've been, and that's why they allow us to do that study. Which we're like, okay, do we spend $8 million when we know we have a life capacity of about another 5 more years on the other 5 lagoons, or do you do a water treatment plant? That was the whole point of the study as well, right? And so we're in a kind of a quandary. Like, do we keep spending $8 million a chunk? Do we just bite the whole apple? I mean, that's where we're at, and that's where we got to look at all aspects, and that's what I think the council want you guys to do is like, hey, you might have to build your own plant if we can't service you, or you might have to build your own well if we can't service. Those are things that you guys have to always have a plan A to, well, ELT team always say A to Z. You got to have a plan A to Z, right? Because there's going to be some variables that are thrown at you, just food for thought.
Back to my original question, is there anything else that you're asking from the city? Is it mostly just water and wastewater? Is there any other requests?
I know that early on, the traffic, and I guess is it called the main strip here?
American
Base Road.
American Legion Boulevard. Early on, when the tribes, before we purchased the property, there was some potential entrances to the property, but the tribes have been working with other entities to potentially get lands to the property off of the Oregon Trail. Is it the Oregon Trail, the one down below? Just coming up, creating a frontage roads to get into the property.
Exit 99?
Yeah, the one down, yeah, so those are the things that we're asking the city. But like today, I'm just going to briefly repeat what Lee Wan said, is that this whole water thing is going to make or break this project, and we just want to make sure that we're working with you all to create this project for your community, and for a minute I was like, are we all on the same page of this project? Because early on we was all like, hey, let's do it, let's get this is going to be a good project.
Who's saying let's do it?
No,
and I'm new to the council, so I'm just curious, like, what's the history? What was the history that you're receiving?
I'm talking about your community.
Okay.
Early on, they said, why do we even have to go to the governor? Let's just do the project. Let's just do it here in Mountain Home, because we lost the movie theater, we lost the bowling alley. We don't have anything to do.
So
that's what some of the community members, as planners, that you go invest your time in the community and see what the needs are for that community. And the kids, majority, and even the young adults said, we want these things here. It's dying. We need more jobs, more high-paying jobs. And the jobs that the property is going to create is going to be good-paying jobs for your community. That's what your own people were telling me when I came in. I probably spent 3 or 4 days here on different times without even knowing anyone in the community. And I was at here, this native guy from Coral was asking your people, and that's what they were saying. And that's what planners do. They invest themselves into the community, see what the needs are for those people.
Sure.
And that's what I mean.
Gotcha.
So.
Alonzo, can we talk about,
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jeanette, if you want to
Sure.
talk first about. Okay. I just wanted, I'm Jeanette Wolf, the legal counsel for the Gaming Commission, and I'm been on this task force since 2021, I believe. Just to respond to someone's question who asked about, you haven't seen any studies or anything. We presented to the city council about 2 years ago non-disclosure agreements that we needed signed by the council before we would disclose any information, so that it would be kept confidential. It's not public information. We received signed disclosures from some of the council members, as well as your former person, Brock Cherry. And when we submitted the applications in 2022, those members, as well as Brock, we sent over those studies you've been asking about to the council. So it's been over a year when we submitted those applications. In June of 2023, we submitted them. We have not received any comments from you or anything. And we sent them to the county too, and so we've moved forward with many meetings with the county commissioners and their staff, because they read the studies, and then they had a lot of questions, and that's why we're moving forward with agreements now with them, is because based upon the studies, they see there needs to be an MOU on jurisdictional issues, law enforcement, fire protection, and so forth. And so I don't know if there's a disconnect that you didn't get the studies. Those studies included issues about crime, issue about social conditions, issues about all the benefits that they bring with regard to revenue, taxes, employment, so forth. Issues having to do with maybe additional people who may move in the area with regard to maybe increase in school attendance, children, issues maybe having to do with problem gambling. So it was a whole study that reviewed this by a group that we had hired, that was submitted to the Department of Interior when we submitted our application.
Jeanette, being that there are we have a new configuration of council. I've never been privy to those documents. Would you guys have the appetite to reboot that aspect of it and start the discussion from today about signing NDAs?
We could send you over NDAs if
Councilman
you're
Harjo.
interested in receiving those.
Sorry to interrupt real quick. I think we were advised, because I was asked to sign it, and I think we were advised by legal not to, as a council. I was gonna say, I believe it, because I was asked to attend that meeting, but then we were advised not to sign an NDA as a council. And so the council hasn't sent, and does that sound familiar?
I don't remember.
I think so.
Because they asked me to be in that meeting, and they said, don't.
Yeah.
I mean.
So anyway, now maybe moving forward, maybe we're okay.
To be fair.
Yeah.
Like, that was a previous iteration of council.
Yeah,
Current
totally.
iteration of council,
Yeah.
I would like to have that
And that's
as an
this is
explored
good
option.
Conversation, is it okay?
Yeah, is that something, what do you advise?
Mayor Council, I'm Charles Wadhams. I'm the city attorney on this particular matter. I signed the NDA for the tribe. Anybody in my office that's been working on this signed the NDA. Whether the mayor and the council should sign the NDA, I don't think there would be anything that would prevent that. The bigger question, though, is if you have the NDAs, but you give us the information, if a member of the public submits a public records request, do you think that's exempt from public disclosure? That's the legal issue, and I'm not sure that it is. I mean, if somebody submits a public records request, it's in the public realm. So I would ask council, Jeanette, what exemption to the public records law applies in this particular situation, because I'm not aware.
I guess the question is whether it applies to a tribal document that was
Right.
prepared for a tribal document, and we would say it would not, because the state laws don't apply to tribal documents that are submitted to the United States.
Yeah, so
Department of Interior.
that's an interesting legal issue that I have not researched, and I would be happy to do so, and I would probably lean on you for guidance on that. But that's my issue, Mayor and Council, is that become a public record at that point in time?
Well, and Department of Interior does not release any of the documents unless there is a FOIA request made to them, and then they contact the tribe, because we had a recent one. They contact the tribe to see whether or not we object to the release.
Well, I think we want to do everything by the book. So what we'll do is, I think if this council is amenable, we'll reach back out, attorney, get it from both ends, and then they can, if you send that over, give it, or we actually probably have it then. We got to be somewhere.
I mean, Mr. Mayor, I have it, so my legal advice would be you could sign it. I just don't know if it's legally enforceable or not.
Brock had it, so I don't know if he
Well, the
left you any
feasibility study
files.
itself, Brock had a copy.
Yeah, Brock had
so
it.
should be within your file system.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not sure how that's handled internally.
I think it's
Or not,
I'll-
and we can resend it when.
When I
mean,
had, Mr. Mayor, when I had that discussion with Brock, he said he was working with you all on the study, so we assumed that you were all aware of everything, so.
I
If
don't
I could-
recall getting it.
If I could try
I
to.
didn't sign it,
That
so.
could be, yeah. So let's do it that way. So then it gives the council some homework, I guess, and move forward with that. And then, more data is always good data, right?
Yeah, the last time we were here in this room, and Mayor Sykes, you were here, and Councilwoman Garvey, you were here as well. And we presented the findings just visually through a PowerPoint presentation from the feasibility study. And I can quickly cover some of those right now for the new council members. So assessments were completed by the Innovation Group in July 2022 and updated in May of 2023. The report summarizes the economic and community impacts, including job creation, increases in labor income, and positive revenue impacts for other local and state businesses, among others, that could be expected from the plan development components. It also includes data such as the projected increase in number of students in your school systems as well, due to people moving into the area for employment. So it's pretty detailed. The economic impact for Elmore County will be $207.8 million in direct output, $13.2 million in indirect output, and $4.2 million in induced output, resulting in a total of $225.2 million in output. The fiscal impacts include business taxes, including sales taxes, payroll taxes, property taxes, and other relevant taxes, both locally and statewide. And we realize that the taxes, you don't receive the taxes here, but statewide, there's $2.3 million to the state in state taxes. During design, build, and outfitting, the physical structure is estimated to produce 2,136 direct jobs and 414 indirect jobs and induced jobs. Those are some of the things we've already talked about: architects, engineers, manufacturing products. As far as employment for the operations, approximately 1,155 total direct, indirect, and induced jobs for the area by the operations itself. It will generate $45.7 million in wages in Elmore County, $41.6 million in direct and $3.1 million in indirect wages, and $1 million in induced wages. Construction of the development is projected to inject a total value added of $125.1 million into the local and state economy. And construction cost estimates for the casino resort development. The one-time fiscal impacts from construction would contribute $4.4 million to the local community and $8.1 million to the state economy. The Shoshone-Bannock Casino Resort development is expected to produce $225.7 million in annual gross revenue and directly employ 1,010 people by 2026. So those are just some of the highlights from that. I obviously don't have the entire feasibility study with me, but those are some of the highlights that were used to produce the brochure that's in the folders that you have. And there's also kind of a bulleted list of highlights from the project that I would recommend reviewing just to get updated. And we'd be happy to send over prior presentations that we gave in person to the prior city council members to get some of the new city council members up to speed. I believe we've, just since I've been on the project team since 2017, I think this is my 4th time in this room giving a presentation, so there have been numerous conversations and updates provided to the prior, and I understand we need to now take some time to get the new members up to speed. Just like we would have to do with our new council members. We have to go through the same processes and re-educate, re-inform, not necessarily start from scratch, but in a sense go back from where we've been to where we are now, so that you guys can't fully support a project that you don't fully understand, and that we understand that there's some conversations that need to be held with the new council members So I just wanted to highlight some of those key points from the feasibility study.
Hey, for Echo and Jeanette, in the effort of, thank you for helping us reestablish some continuity in that. Would the PowerPoint that was presented before here be available prior to the NDA discussion?
Yes, we had a few PowerPoints, one on the recent studies and also kind of a primer on Indian gaming. What is Indian gaming all about and all the regulatory commissions that are in place, as well as I think in your packet, one of the questions that the Elmer County Commissioners had was, what kind of crimes do you have at Fort Hall with regard to gaming? What is the relationship between, say, the operations security, the gaming commission, and the law enforcement? And so in your packet, there should be a summary of the kind of crimes that we have over at Fort Hall with regard to gaming, how those are handled and coordinated between the various law enforcement agencies.
Correct me if I'm wrong, is the county doing their own studies on this as well, I believe? Yes.
They're doing an economic study. They hired economists to determine how much, whether or not they think they need to hire, say, an extra police officer, or what would it cost to have an additional person in their jail over the weekend or something. Things like that they're looking at. Because we're working on more of a cost reimbursement MOU with them. But they also want additional data. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mayor, I think, I don't know, maybe this, I'm putting the cart before the horse, but I really think that the county and the city need to meet together. Because this is not going to just affect one party, it's not going to just affect the city, and it's not going to just affect the county, but I think we all need to be in the same room discussing this, because like Daniel brings up, sheriff versus city police. If we're not all in the same room talking and discussing this and working through this, it's not going to work. So I don't know, I'd like to see maybe that's the next step, because on the agenda it says another meeting, so
I agree with that.
I think we all need to get in the room together.
We agree with that as well.
Okay,
The
good.
discussion amongst itself.
Yeah.
We originally tried to have a meeting between, and they're like, oh no, we have separate meetings. So it's like, okay.
Well, we can have we've had meetings before with them about impact fees, but something like this, we could probably do one, here with them, and then you guys, or if it was just us two groups, we could do that. We just have to put it on the board out there and let everyone know that we're having a joint meeting. But those are, like Councilman Garvey's correct, we need to sit down and chew on the fat here. We got to figure out who's doing what's doing what. Maybe we're all just like, no, we don't want it, or maybe everyone says, yes, we do want it. We just got to get that, I guess, quantifiable data with theirs and ours together.
And we're happy to help provide some of that, at least the projected data and data from what exists at our current property, understanding that this property will be very different.
Right.
Where our property in Fort Hall sits on the reservation, where we are able to provide some of our own services when it comes to fire and EMS and law enforcement and water and sewer. So we also have to understand what your needs are. We have a hard time projecting what your costs are and expenses are, and what your current staff levels are and current facility structures look like, and can as far as what they can provide to a property of this size. So if I can't see your
Oh,
name.
yeah, Councilwoman
Chairwoman,
Workala, yeah, sorry.
or Councilwoman, how do you say your
Workala.
Workala, okay. If I could take a shot at answering your question as well. Water, yes. Sewer, yes. Fire and EMS, public safety or police services. I'm trying to think just without the list right in front of me. But we have to understand what county can, how county and city works together, and we're still trying to figure that out as well. And what each of your current situations are, we can only guess. We need to understand that to be able to tell you what we're asking for and what your needs are. We have to understand your needs and then meet somewhere, not even in the middle, but meet each other where we're currently at, where we're at on this project.
And I think for this, and I'm not speaking for the council, but for me, just Mayor Sykes, I need to know how deep you guys are ready to go, because you obviously heard that we have a wastewater issue. We have, actually, we have our master plan for the O&Ms, for the reconstruction of water pipes, sewer pipe, things of that nature, in our master plan, right? Our CIPs, all that good stuff. So you got to pay to play, and I'm not trying to say it any less disparaging, but I'm trying to say that we have some issues that they're going to have to make some tough choices up here, and we want to work together, but in the same sense, it's good. Those aren't cheap. Water and wastewater stuff is not cheap.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor.
Sorry.
Councilwoman Garvey, thanks for that question, because as a team, we've been asking that question, is when we can all get in the same room and have these discussions on all the questions that you're asking, so our team can work on those things, all of us together. Because again, I'm going to say it all over and over, it's going to be a good project for your community as far as job creations and entertainment. But I really appreciate you making that recommendation, because we really would like that, and we really want to be at the table with you all when you're having those discussions. So and that's why we brought our chief of police with us today, so we can answer some of the questions about the potential MOUs we may have with the city and or Elmore County. And if we all get at the table at once, then all our questions will be answered. And how far the tribes will go, we want this project to happen.
Marvin?
Yes, just to give you a little heads up too, we work with every single utility law enforcement agency, and we've been in a problem with water and sewer as well. But we've been able to overcome those. The same situation you're feeling right now. Where are we going to get this money? Where are we going to, those are the questions we've dealt with as well in the past. But we were able to overcome those. I know that this issue about law enforcement, our position, at least at Fort Hall, was what's our first response people in case we have a serious issue, and that's with our Fort Hall Police Department. And if they're unavailable, they'll put in a call to Bingham County. If Bingham County's unavailable, I think they'll go to the Idaho State Police. But when you have a major crimes issue come up, believe me, every law enforcement agency is going to be out there. One of the things I always have to look for when I have to do facility licensing or work with Jeanette on an MOU is access. To have an emergency response take place immediately, we gotta have access, good access. And I know that access issue is a problem here. That's something we gotta figure out. The water issues, I've read some of these reports that come out on Mountain Home, the number of wells you have, how the irrigation is pumping a lot more water, probably more development going on, but it's reducing that groundwater. I don't know how deep your wells are, but if we were to work with this and find out exactly what's needed, because this facility licensing that we have to do is annual. I mean, we have to do it every year, and the reason we have to do it like that is because your water systems, your water lines, your sprinkler systems, the sewer lines, they get used. They start wearing. So our duty is to make sure that there's plenty and adequate water, everything's working, functioning right. We have adequate water pressure. The fire engines come in, they have adequate water pressure to hook into the lines. Depending on what size they've got so much PSI for each lines. We have to know that because that has to be in those reports every year. So it's important for us to know what we need from you, because we're going to end up hooking into you, and we have to know what's there. And that's part of our issue is what do we need to do to support your efforts? What do we need to have to support our efforts to make this thing work? That's where we're at. I think all this other stuff, We've been through it before, we've heard all the bickering and moaning, but I'll guarantee you, when law enforcement finds their person they need, we have a lot of cameras, we have a lot of technology that we're able to support and get what we need to do for them. And it works. It does work, but it's a little time consuming, but it works. Everything works out.
So are you, with your statement there, are you asking for access roads from the casino to the city for that EMS response?
Well, that's an issue that we would like to know, is in case there's an emergency to get into this place, because I think there's barriers or problems from the main road there. It's just a concern that I think we need to address, because otherwise we're looking at different routes, lengthier time. Timing is crucial, especially if it's law enforcement or fire. Timing is very important. And those are just some of the issues we gotta be faced with.
In here moving forward, guys, I want you guys to know, getting a meeting with me is easy, you know, just put it on the calendar, but this issue itself is bigger than just me. This is the other four up here, and that's why I wanted them to sit in our meeting today. So just here moving forward, if we're gonna do meetings, it probably won't just be me by myself. It's gonna be with the other four as well. And you gotta remember, they all work. And you know, for me, it's a full-time gig, but for them, they all have other jobs they have to do. So hence, I appreciate the council for making their time, because I know you all have other jobs. So I appreciate it. So, but here moving forward, I just want you guys to know, but here moving forward, that it will have to be with all four. Okay? You can reach out to any department head, get all your questions answered. You can ask me a million questions, but if we're going to chew on the fat where the rubber meets the road, we all need to have not the legislative or the executive branch. You need the legislative branch right here, because they're going to tell you what they want, they don't want. Here moving forward, okay?
Can I ask you, where are you at in your discussions with the state governor? I understand that's part of the approval process.
We met with the governor numerous times, well, since we started on this project. His last meeting was over a year ago, and we asked him to come to Fort Hall and ours to go to Boise again to have a discussion about this property, a gaming facility. So we don't know where he's at really.
Okay.
He's sometimes no, sometimes yes, but we're meeting with him. And then, like I said earlier, is that there's a lot of people in the Boise area that he's friends to, and they've been talking to him. I'll be honest, I get phone calls from people that get my number off a brochure or see me somewhere. And, well, we talked to the governor, or we mentioned the governor about this. There's a lot of people that don't live in Mountain Home that are from Boise area that have access to the governor. Always call and say, you know, we talked to the governor and we think this is a good project for Mountain Home. You know, so the chairman did write a letter to him and we invited him out.
Yeah.
Well, there's also some things to consider, and Jeanette probably can speak to this better than anybody in the room, about the process flow that's required by the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act. That there's like the reference to the governor's position on that refers to a certain subsection of that text that defines that there's a gubernatorial concurrence with the Secretary of Interior's findings. So like there's a little bit of like cart before the horse, chicken and egg kind of scenario where the Secretary of Interior needs all of this data to get to the point where they can form an opinion on that in a real draft form, and then the governor then either concurs or not with that. So there's some timing involved with governmental approval, or I mean with governor approval.
There's actually two applications we submitted to the Department of Interior. One is to have the land, the 157 acres, put into trust, meaning it's held by the United States for the benefit of the tribes. So it's considered then Indian land or trust land, United States land. And so that's a separate process from then another application we submitted at the same time which is the gaming application. And so both of those went to the Department of Interior in DC, or to the regional office first. And so there are separate departments that review those applications. The regional office, with the environmental assessments and other things, they have to do, their solicitors have to do a title opinion to make sure that everything is all clear. And there's been some things with that as to how some of the land was documented with deeds and stuff in that area involving the interstate, so it's taken a while to get all of those cleared. And so it's being reviewed by the solicitors in DC. So they could issue then an opinion saying, title is good, we accept it into trust, and that would be fine. But it doesn't mean that we can have gaming on it.
I see.
The next application, which is totally gaming, we submitted a whole different kinds of documents to them with regard to projections on income, cash flow, everything else. And then that is approved by one of their deputy secretaries and then reviewed and approved. And if, once they approve that, it goes to the governor to concur in the approval. The governor has up to a year to approve or not say anything, and then it can be extended by another 180 days. So about a year and a half it could take for if the governor approves or not, or concurs.
Mr. Mayor and council members, we gave that presentation. We can send that presentation to you, or the whole process is how the application goes through, if you would like that also.
Perfect. Send everything over. Yeah. More data is always good, data. For the sake of time, we're rolling in about an hour and 40 minutes, and I know unless council has any other questions for right now, or obviously, are you guys going to set up a meeting with the county commissioners and us, or do you want us to reach out to Shelley and try to set something up? What do you guys want to do?
Mr. Mayor and city council members, we can do it on our end, but I think if you'd reach out as the mayor or the city council, or reach out to the county commissioners, say, we want to start working on this project together with the Shoshone-Bannock tribes, and we'll make time to get over here and meet with you all. But we can set it up if you like. But I think it'd be, we talk to them all the time.
Okay.
If it would come from the city council and yourself saying, we had a discussion with them today, we want to all come together and get these questions answered and work together on this project would be great.
Okay.
Mayor.
Councilman, go ahead.
My recommendation, not to be exclusionary, is that our two bodies, the commission and the council, get together first to hash out what we want. When we're kind of on the same page, the two of our bodies, then we call them in to kind of do a presentation that direction, right? So.
Okay.
That's what I was just going to piggyback off of that. If we're going to all be in the same room, then we need a high level overview of what has been discussed and maybe possibly agreed upon, so that way we're all on the same page because you've talked about several different things that they have said they would do. So if we're all going to get together in the same room, we need a high level, here's your course overview.
So what we'll do then is we'll meet with them first, and then we'll bring you in, and that way everyone's on the same page.
Okay.
Sound good?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, we just hope we can get that meeting soon for all of us to get together, because there's some questions about the environmental assessment that we're going through right now to get those submitted, so hopefully we can get it going.
So you gotta remember, they only meet three Fridays at 9 a.m. They all have jobs, so we're going to do our best. We're going to reach out and say, hey, give us some times, and then I'll give it to the council. You got to remember, they all have full-time gigs, so we'll try to set it up sooner rather than later. We'll send an email to Shelley. Is it Shelley? Shelley today, and see when we can all meet. Maybe they can do a special a meeting as well. Sound good? Okay.
One more before we adjourn. The topic of today, and all of the discussions that have happened, there's really one apparent, or two shared in under one heading, apparent lowest common denominator, and that comes down to water and wastewater. The logistics first of if the tribe is requesting that the city fulfill the needs for water and wastewater, if we can fulfill those or not is the greatest question. So as much data, and whether that lies behind the NDA or in open meeting, what have you, as much data that we can get to make the determination of what the needs of the property would be at each level of its implementation, that before any other topic, that stands out as probably the most critical point for logistics if this can move forward or not.
Hey Matthew, you have that quantifiable data, how much so if you do the 1, the 2, the 3, you have all that data, you can send that to us?
Yeah, I can get that over to you for sure.
Okay. And we'll get that to Keller. I guess this is even feasible, because if not, you got, I mean.
So I when I had a meeting with Keller already, I already provided that information to them. So they should have it. I can, but I can send it to Chris or whoever would be the best person to get that information over to.
Well, yeah, if they have it, then we'll just grab it from them. And Chris will reach out to them, and that way he can send that to all the council.
Yeah. And then if they've got any questions, just have them reach out. They should have my contact information. But I'll follow up with Chris with an email, so we can distribute it. So
sounds good.
Yeah.
Anything else, guys? All right. Anything else?
For your time today, we appreciate the city council members being here today also. So we look forward to hearing back from you all.
Oh, I know what I was going to do. Dispel a rumor, because you know how rumors are out everywhere. So, am I a part of your guys' tribe?
No.
That you know of. Okay.
From Montana.
Yeah, exactly. Is Scott a part of your guys' tribe?
No.
So there's no affiliation. So I want the public to know there's no affiliation of Scott and I's end that we're part of the show band and we're trying to give them all the whatever they want. That was a rumor, no joke. It was a rumor. So
to expand on that, I don't know. I don't know your level of tribal affiliation, but I am not a registered member of any tribe. I share heritage strongly in my bloodline, but I'm not a member of any tribe anywhere in this country. So, for the record, it's been asked of me in multiple scenarios. It was asked during the election. I'll say it here on the record. I'm not a registered member of any tribe. I receive no funds. I receive no compensation. I receive nothing from anybody. So, to dispel any of that rumor for anybody that has that question, hear it now, nothing. Thank you.
Thanks for traveling out here, guys.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Real big, final, real quick comment. Just for your information, if you guys want to research out, there's other casinos out there and resorts. There's one right here, Ilani, I can't pronounce it.
Is that in Washington?
Yeah, it's we're north of Ilani, north of Portland. That'll give you something to consider and check it out. And there's the MGM in Washington, D.C., and there's the Wild Horse over there and by Pendleton, and there's numerous ones. Of course, you guys know Cactus Pete, and other places where you see how it is. And this is not just going to be the community that's going to be over there, but it's the people that are coming through. And for the future, that's where, if you want to look at it and you go take into all aspects, like you said, of everything. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Meeting adjourned.
$35. Yeah. Buy some lunch. You know what, you guys, I'm sorry. I should have looked at that before. The heat is on. It's on.
Well, your heat works just fine.
I think I just need the other way by myself.
I noticed it as soon as you walked in.
And I tried to tell you that. Executive branch or